Hello and welcome to this podcast about yarn and all kinds of knitting related things, as well as spinning and just the fiber arts in general. My name is Doug and I'm coming to you from Albuquerque in the beautiful desert of New Mexico, where we have had snow a few days ago. And then just yesterday, I went for my run in a sleeveless top. It's been a little bit crazy. Yeah, funny. Um, I have a cat on my feet. I don't think he knows really what he wants. Do you want cuddles? Come on. Yes, there is my boy. There is my boy. No, you stay here. Yeah, so I wanted to tell you what I have been doing in the past weeks after my friend Doris left. She got home okay, in case you wonder. She had a bit of a rough start because on the first day where she was supposed to leave, her plane ended up being her whole connection ended up not working out. So she had to stay another night before she could actually travel home. And then guess what? Then her suitcase didn't make it. So I think she waited close to a week to get her suitcase. It was really crazy, but it's all fine. It worked out in the end, and it's kind of okay with the way they tag the luggage these days. It may take a while, but then you get whatever you have checked in because they can always find it. She has, by the way, in the meantime, made another one of those beautiful stoles, the one with the snail in the center. And I'm hoping that she's going to send me a picture. So possibly, hopefully, I can show you in the future. She used a different yarn and she's made that one for her mother, who likes pink. So it's a strong berry color, which you will see eventually at some point. Yeah, so, and I have in the meantime finished a few things, and I am wearing something where you're like, that's not finished newly, but it kind of is and kind of not is, because it was a sweater that I made this spring. And when I pulled it out the other day when I was a little bit chilly and I needed something pretty, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have not woven in my ends on this one. I made 3 of this in spring. One had short sleeves or has short sleeves, the other one long sleeves, and this is my 3/4 sleeve version. I use 3mm needles for the ribbing and 3.5mm for the body, and this is a tighter and more cropped version. And I'm not sure, I thought I had done them all the same, but apparently not. I don't know what I tried to do differently with this one, but something turned out different. I have had a cast on of 172. Don't quote me on it. I may have made some changes on this one, but this is a stitch count that I used for either this one or the others. 172 for the cast on, and then I divided it up into 70 for the front and the back and 16 stitches for the sleeves. And I like a generous neckline because I get hot easily, so I'd rather have the option of having my neck open like this, and then if I need it, I have a few shawls that I have made, as you may remember if you've been watching here for a while. I like knitting shawls, so I have a lot of options for my neck to keep warm. Yes, and among them now a very new one, which actually I would not combine it with this sweater, but still, it's a new shawl. It's yet another shawl, and it's the one that you have seen before. that I made from hand spun yarn. It is huge, as you can see. It measures 2 yards and 30 centimeters on the top edge, and down to the tip it's a bit more than a meter. And I used all kinds of sample skeins and mini skeins that I had spun from carded bats, and that's why the colors are very blended. I mean, they were individual little skeins, different little skeins, but in themselves the colors are very much blended, as you can see. I had kept this more pinkish color for the end for my lace edge. I wasn't sure what I was going to use. I thought I was going to use a lace pattern from one of my books, but then I ended up looking through this book and decided that I wanted to make up my own lace. I had, at that point when I ended my last color, I had a stitch count of where the repeats were 17 or 13 stitches. I had, it could have been 17 or it could have been 13. Both are favorite numbers of mine. So I took that as a lucky sign, and I made up my own lace according to the book. Where was I? I have no idea. So I created this lace pattern by how can I say that? It's so hard to explain. You use a grid, of course, and then you draw in your yarn overs, and then you figure out where the decreases need to go, because of course for every yarn over you need to work a decrease or you're going to end up with too many stitches. So in the end, I just what I did was I placed the yarn overs on my grid, and then the only problem I had when I was here, I thought, I'm not sure if this will be pointy enough. So I thought I will continue a little bit more, and my gut told me or whatever, because I've knitted lace before, I kind of had that feeling that I would have to increase stitches at this spot here and decrease there to have the dip and to have the point, and it worked out great. It was important to me to have a pointy edge here, even though I struggled a little bit with continuing the lace pattern, so it made sense, but it was kind of like I winged it. But I just didn't want the lace to end, the shawl to end straight here. Do you know what I mean? Like this, you know? I wouldn't have wanted that. So I continued those increases along the edge of the shawl. Yeah, it's a very simple triangle with increases on the right side along this middle spine and at the two edges. And I'm really pleased with how it turned out. And I do have, in case you wonder, I do have my lace pattern here. I just realized I have it, sorry, crinkling. this is how it looks like. So I made a few corrections and my sheet wasn't big enough, and but it worked out, as you can see, so I'm super pleased with it. Yes, go back here. So the next thing that I was working on that you may remember was the dress for my brother. No, it was not supposed to be a dress. It was a sweater, but it turned into a dress for myself. It's funny because I brought it to Knit Night, and we all had a good laugh because my friend Therese, she tried it on, and it went almost down to her knees. She's this tiny little thing who knits like a machine, seriously. Yes, it looked so funny on her, but by now I ripped it back, and I think now my sleeves are too long. I will not change anything because my brother has not tried it on. He doesn't know anything about it. I don't think he watches my podcast. He's not into knitting. So this will be a wonderful surprise for him that I will ship out, I'm thinking probably tomorrow. So here it is. Love how it turned out. I used why do I never know what needle size I used? Give me 1 second, because now I have all my notes right here. 4.5 millimeter needles. And for the ribbing, of course, a size down, 4 millimeters. And I ended up finding this free schematic on the internet, which I used for my sizing. And the cool thing was that literally the width of the sweater, the way I thought it would be right, was exactly what it was supposed to be according to this sizing. It was kind of like magic, except for the length, of course, where I screwed up majorly. There's one thing weird about this pattern. There's no measurement given for the width of the ribbing of the sleeve. Very strange. So what to tell you? I don't think I'm going to put it on because you get the picture. I started with 120 stitches. I did standard raglan decreases. However, in the middle section, 7 times I added a row between the increases, which means I got more depth until I split the sleeves. I had to do some math to figure out my decreases, and I kept these markers on here so you see how many times I decreased. I wanted a uniform shape, not like fast and straight or something. So I decreased every 7 rounds, 2 decreases. And I'm pleased, and I hope you will like it. Fingers crossed that it will travel safely and arrive well at his place in Germany. And I'm actually hopeful because I just sent off a package to Marina of the Strawberry Patches podcast in New Zealand. Hi, Marina. And it got to her, wait a second, I think it took 2 weeks. So I thought that was not too bad. Of course, we're not yet in Christmas season, but I thought that wasn't too bad. Yeah. So hopefully it's going to make it on time for his birthday on the 24th. Yeah, that would be about 2 weeks. Well, maybe a little bit late. It's fine. He's going to be happy even if it's late. Yes, that was that. And then I have my shawl, I have the sweater, which is my gift, the gift for my brother. That was a lot of ends because I did not say anything about that, but I used German commercial sock yarns held double for this, and that's why you have this beautiful variation in colors, and hopefully it'll be very washable for him. And the other thing I am making is yet another gift for a dear friend of mine. You know who you are. And the first sock is done. And I hope it's right, because I asked him how long does the sock need to be for your size, and he measured, I don't know if did you measure a sock or did you measure your foot? I don't know. But the second one is almost done too, and then it can go also on the trip to Germany. And yet again, did I use sock yarn held double. I used one whole ball of yarn and I held it with a second one, actually 2 different colors where I thought they would match. And I like how it turned out. And I am using 3.5 millimeter needles, and I cast on 48 stitches. Since I'm using DPNs, I started with 12 stitches per needle, and I didn't make them so high because they're meant as home socks, slipper socks. Yeah, I'm excited. I have these guys in my beautiful, this project, I should say, in my beautiful new bag that Doris made for me. That was one of the sweet gifts that she brought for me when she came for a visit. And yeah, good. So that is almost done. And I think I'm going to have to make another pair for my husband, because he just showed me that one of his socks from last year is completely shredded. Okay, what next? You know, we have the Duke. What is the hashtag now? The Duke City Mitts knit along going on until December 3rd. I'm going to put the hashtag on the screen, of course. And I have, as you may imagine, knitted a few more of the mitts. And I will start in the order of creation. The last ones you saw were the ones where I chose to combine the colors in a funny way. And the next ones were the green ones. Again, hand spun yarn, and these have been washed and blocked. Next pair. These. Isn't it funny how sometimes, no, these are not different. This one is slightly shorter. Sometimes they turn out differently, even though I count my rows. And it's just funny. Probably with the yarn, because it's hand spun, if it's a little bit lighter or heavier, then you can tell sometimes. Then I used a yarn which was a favorite of mine. I had the fibers from a local farm here in New Mexico, Ramole Fibers. I sent it off to be processed and turned into spinning top. And then I dyed the fibers, and the color turned out as beautiful as you can imagine. And I don't think I've ever managed to duplicate that colorway. And that's okay, because sometimes things must be unique. I made 4 of these and I combined them like this. And you are probably very surprised to hear that this is a favorite of mine, but I just loved the colors, and I love the intensity of the shades of browns and greens, and I just but with the story of where it came from, it's just so special to me. Yeah. And then I thought, let's be very daring, and just without weighing, I thought, I'm going to make another pair for myself, because I cannot, these are for sale, or they will be for sale at the High Desert Studio Tour on December 3rd. If you want to stop by, please send me an email to ziawools@comcast.net. I will happily share the flyer with you so you can visit all kinds of artists up in my neighborhood. But these guys I kept for myself, and I'm going to put them on for you, or at least I'm going to put on one. Put on the second one. I put on a tag saying mine, because these are quite, I don't even know what to say. They turned out quite different. First of all, the yarn weight was slightly different, lighter, heavier, and thus the heavier one is slightly longer. And also, I usually try to match the yarn of the body of the mitt with the thumb, but for this one, because I really used the very last of what I had, it didn't quite work out, but that's okay. Here, so I literally had just 1 yard of yarn left, and here I needed to add a bit of different yarn just for the cast off to manage. Yes, these are mine. Okay, those were the Duke Mania. That's the hashtag, Duke Mania 2022. And I hope that if you are participating in the little knit along, that you don't forget to post something in the ZiaWools group on Ravelry to be eligible for a prize, because I'm going to do a drawing after the knit along ends on the December 3rd. And now I'm going to have to open the shades because it gets a little bit darker. I had a lot of sun here earlier. Okay, here we go. Shades are up, a little bit more light, and I can tell you about the next project that I am working on. And I have been very patient with finishing all these other projects, and now I was really looking forward to starting this. This pattern is in a German magazine from, I think, 2016. Yes, from 2016. and you are combining a knitted body with crocheted sleeves. I'm super excited about this because I do remember seeing this and thinking, wow, I really want to make this. And now I feel very much inclined to finally do it because I thought it would be such a great thing to have and to wear at the studio tour. Even, I mean, not that it really matters, but it's just a fun goal. So I told you about the yarn that I spun for the body. This, which is Blueface Leicester fibers and silk in a 70-30 blend, 30% silk. And I had a generous amount of yarn. It's about 300, almost close to 300 grams. So I thought this is wonderful. It's colors that are great for me. It's a nice variation. I made a sample. I did not well, you're supposed to use 4mm needles, but then the gauge does not really matter because the size that they give is just one size, and that is extra small to small, somewhere in that range. So it wouldn't matter anyways. So I'm going to have to figure out things a little bit more on my own. That's fine. So I had this and I thought, oh, great. I was a little concerned. I was a little bit uncertain if I could, if it was scratchy or not scratchy. But I got a great tip from Candace who said, hey, just stick your swatch in your bra for a day, then you will know if it's scratchy or not. I didn't even get to do this because at some point I went into my cedar chest with all my hand spun yarns. I open it and I'm seeing this one color and I'm like, oh no, oh my God, this is going to be perfect for the body because it's a small amount. I would love to use it in a sweater. Perfect. Pulled that out, wound one skein into a ball, started my swatch. Here it is in pattern as written in the magazine. And even though I was doubtful about the pattern, I thought, do I really want that? Whatever, I'm going to try in pattern, 4mm needles. And then I thought, no, this is not going to work because it is very woolly. And with woolly, I don't mean scratchy. I mean more in the sense of woolly warm with not a lot of drape. And I thought I need silk for the crochet in the sleeves. And I will also want a fabric that is drapey for the body. So yet again, back to the drawing board. And would you believe that I went back to some yarns that I had pulled out in the very beginning of when I started thinking about this project. One of them was this. That's a ball of yarn that weighs about 200 grams. And then I had this and another green one, and both of these had 100 grams. So this one 100 and the greenish one 100. And yesterday I started knitting with this. I did my math for my width. I compared it a little bit to this one. I thought a little bit bigger than this, and I started knitting, and then I realized I'm not going to have, this is not going to be enough for the body, even though all you need is a fairly short piece for here, and then it goes up a little bit until you add crochet. I should show you again so you can see what I'm talking about. So it's really not too much that I need for that knitted fabric. But then I weighed and I measured. So I weighed what I had knitted. I weighed what I had left, and then I measured what I had knitted, and I realized I'm not going to have enough. And because I was not far in, I decided I will rip back. I'm going to start again, and I'm going to start with this. And then I will just continue with the green yarn. And this is merino and bamboo, I believe. This one, no label, sadly. But you can tell from the sheen that it has something like bamboo or tencel. Probably not silk, I don't think so. Didn't do that much at that time when I was spinning that a few years ago. So now this is where I am. Check it out. Isn't that pretty? It is fairly thick, maybe I should say. But on the other hand, I know with that bamboo content that it has, I'm pretty sure it's going to be fine. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm just going to knit until I run out of this, and then I switch to this. And then you're going to say, what are you going to use for your flowers and your in-between green? And I had dyed up some fibers, all of them being 50% silk and 50% merino. And I have not started spinning them, but I am thinking I will spin a little bit of all of these. I don't know how much they are, but they are all very pretty. And nothing decided yet on what I use for what. I mean, of course, this for the sleeves in between that connects. That's going to be the material that connects the flower motifs, but I may use this for the centers of the flowers and this for the outside. Very, very, very excited about this. The way I spin this, I'm not sure if I have mentioned, but the fibers are so long. What I usually do with something like this, I spin from the fold. So I portion the fibers. It's a little bit harder because it's just the beginning. So this is about the length, roughly the staple length. And I put this little handful over my finger, hold it like this, and spin from the fold, from this spot where the fibers are indeed folded. And that is a lot easier to draft. Yes, that's the story of the sweater where I am now. I hope I will get a good bit of progress until I see you again, so I can really show you something next time. Another thing that I have been planning, and it's kind of funny. Who was I? I was watching a podcast. Oh yeah, it was a German podcast the other day, and it made me laugh so much because she was talking about a pair of socks that she's making for her friend whose birthday was in August. And she said, I don't know how it is with these holidays like Christmas or birthdays. They always come up so fast. And I thought, that's exactly me. And so I want things for my children. Like my daughter is going to spend a semester abroad next year. So she's going to have a cold winter there in Paris. I mean, nothing like what she's used to here, because it's a dry cold. It does not creep into your bones. So she's going to need sweaters. I mean, she has one woolly sweater, but I was thinking I want to make her another one, and I kind of agonized a little bit about the color. Then I thought, hey, I'm going to dye up some of my DK yarn, and I have come up with this, which I think is super pretty. She does not like anything speckled or anything fancy. So it's going to have just maybe a slight variation, but nothing major. And the colorway is called Ice Ice Baby. And I have 4 skeins, and I'm thinking a V-neck short sweater. So this I will also have to start soon, but first of all, my sweater. And I think that's DK weight is gonna be, it's doable until Christmas. It's doable. And then the last thing that I wanted to show you in terms of knitting plans is the yarn that I have gone stash diving for. And I have come up with these 2. I want to make a shawl, and I forgot to bring the pattern. Hold on one second. So I'm planning to use these yarns for the Hope and Feathers by Mary Annarella. And if this looks familiar, no wonder. I have knitted a sweater by the same designer. So if you want to see any of these projects, this is on Ravelry, on my project page, Paper Dag, and I would love for you to friend me. This one, of course, only so far in my queue. And there's only just a few more things that I wanted to show you that have been added to my shop, which you can find at www.ziawools.com. And it's not going to lead you to Etsy. It's going to be straight on the site now. And I have added some little bags there. What I usually do is the larger ones have a gusset. And the smaller ones don't, and they all have a flannel as a lining, and they're made from 100% cotton, so they're fully washable, which I love because I drag my bags everywhere. And then you will also find a few more sets of mini skeins, which are just always so cute, don't you think? Yeah, this is Dreamcatcher, and I will hopefully tomorrow have added also Suncatcher. Dreamcatcher is the 2-ply where one skein weighs 100 grams and the yardage would be 400 yards for the full skein, and the Sundancer is slightly lighter, so a full skein of 100 grams would have 465 yards. So, and these all have, every mini skein has 10 grams. And that's it from me for now. I hope hope you had a good time with me as your company, and I hope you are also having something fun that you enjoy on your needles. And until I see you again in a few weeks, happy knitting. Bye.